Though I know I should be wary, still I venture someplace scary. Ghostly hauntings I turn loose. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice! Today, I don't know what we're gonna do, but stay tuned and we'll have fun together. Hi! Okay, it is Tim Burton related today, but it's not Tim Burton Tuesday. Tim Burton Tuesday is where I break down a Tim Burton project and really talk about it in depth, and every video is different, but this is not Tim Burton Tuesday of the official variety, but it is Tim Burton adjacent because Beetlejuice is his project. However, this video was supposed to be Beetlejuice the animated series. I ran out of time, but I did make a tot. So here is Lydia from the Beetlejuice the animated series. So yeah, I did make her. She does look great. I'm really proud of how she turned out. But I just couldn't figure out a whole video. Not this year. I just ran out of time with everything. But I know a lot of you have been waiting for me to review this kit. So I've been working on it for a few months, and that's why there's like 3 videos. So first we have my video where I'm unboxing this and you see my first impressions. Then we have the video where I show you all the patterns. That's the flip through that I normally do. And now we have the full gift or garbage review. So take it away, other me. This is Gift or Garbage! Yay! My series where we talk about if something is actually worth your money or if it belongs in the trash. Or maybe not the trash, maybe you can donate it to somebody, but anyway. I'm going to be brutally honest, no companies are paying me. I bought all of these with my own money, and some of these are real garbage. But let's find out if that's one today. So, what makes something a gift? 1. Is it well priced? Is it a good value for what it is? 2. Is it appropriate for the audience that it's geared for? 3. Are the items usable, user-friendly, easy to navigate? All kinds of things can fit in this category. And 4, specifically for this channel, is it Spoonie approved? Do I believe that somebody who has different Spoonie conditions could operate this product? If it doesn't match any of these things, it's garbage. If it matches a few of them, it still might be a gift, but we want to check all of our boxes here. So let's find out if this is gift or garbage. I've gotten a lot of questions on how I review a kit. First, you need the kit. Second thing I do is pick a pattern. Which one do I want to make? Here's something you may not know. The patterns that they make the yarn for, these are the patterns that are checked better than the other patterns in the book, which means I am not going to make the ones that they give me the yarn for because that may actually not be a fair representation of the kit. Step 3. I am going to take this pattern and I'm going to read it like I am reading a research book. I am going to analyze every little piece of this before I ever get started. Why? Because I don't want to be caught off guard. Even in my own patterns, I tell you guys, read the whole pattern before you ever pick up that hook. Step 4, decide right now if you are going to use the materials in their kit or your own materials. I usually pick my own materials, but I have used kit materials before in the past, especially if they've been very specific and kind of different kind of materials than you normally see in kits. However, this is a standard one, and the designer even says which ones she likes to use, which are not the ones that are in the kit. So, I use my own. Yarns and hooks I'm familiar with. And that leaves me one less variable to find out if this pattern is really good. Step 5. As I'm going through the pattern and working it up, I take notes on everything. So that way I can tell y'all and I don't forget things, because some patterns are kind of long and you're not going to remember every single little bump in the road that you ran into. So you need a way of keeping track. One of the things I would recommend is a little notebook. Step 6. Always, and I do mean always, try to find something positive you can say about a kit, even if it's complete garbage. Too many times I see exceedingly negative reviews about crochet kits. And yeah, some of them are easier than others, and some of them should not be marked as beginners. But always try to find something positive you can say about it. Why did you buy it in the first place? If your review is entirely negative, possibly it's justified, but also you're not going to get as many views because nobody wants to watch you sit there and hate on something. And step 7, probably one of the most important, only review your own opinion. It doesn't matter if you're getting paid by a company, if your subscribers picked it, if your members picked it, it doesn't matter. Don't allow any outside influences. Your followers are there for a reason. They trust you. Don't betray their trust. Be honest, be fair, and of course, have fun. Okay, so this is the Beetlejuice kit. We have black yarn, gray yarn, peach yarn, glow-in-the-dark cotton lime green yarn, white yarn, dark gray yarn, a little bit of purple, the book, a metal 3.25 millimeter hook. Is it crooked? It is not. It is perfectly straight. All right. Well, that's definitely a bonus point in their favor. And it is a tapered hook, as you can see. It is not inline, it is tapered. We have a little package here of a darning needle, a sharp one, some embroidery thread, and 2 pairs of safety eyes. Maybe 8mm eyes, 9mm eyes, I don't know. But they're not 6, that's for sure. And if we lift this up, we have more black yarn and stuffing. Now, do you ever save these? I save these. I actually use these inside my drawers, and I put my pencils and markers and stuff, and I sort them that way. So I actually save these. They're really good for organization. So, use every part of your box if you can. You could, use this for crochet too. You could put your crochet hooks or something on this side, or maybe like tiny little yarn skeins, and then your notions and stuff on this side. Maybe like your notions tin or something inside your drawer. I don't know, but packaging can be good too. So this is just 100% acrylic, very cheap yarn. It's got that slightly, not slimy, but kind of sticky feel. Not my favorite. I usually save this stuff for stuffing for other amigurumi because it's not the greatest yarn. I might use this one. I don't know. So this is cool though. This is the cotton glow-in-the-dark yarn to make Beetlejuice's hair. And this one I definitely want to try. I also want to see if it's truly glow-in-the-dark. So we'll see. So this lid makes me so happy because these are the 2 that I want to make. Miss Argentina or the Magician's Assistant. I can't decide which one I want to make first. I'm leaning towards Magician's Assistant. I think she'd be a little bit faster. She doesn't have as many like little finesse details. So I think I might make her first. Can't decide. But I definitely want to make both of these this Halloween season. So. Okay, day 1 of the Beetlejuice crochet kit. I made a decision, and we are doing Miss Argentina. So I need 4 colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 colors of yarn. So I have her skin is going to be the Red Heart with Love in the color Minty. Her hair is going to be the Big Twist Value, the color Burnt Orange. This is just what I have in my stash, y'all, so if the colors aren't perfect, this is what I got. Her dress and shoes will be the Big Twist Twinkle in the color Red. because you gotta have some sparkle. And her cape will be the color, also Big Twist Twinkle, in the color Mulberry. So, it says to use a 2.75 millimeter hook, but that's if I was using DK yarn. I am using worsted weight yarn, so I am probably going to use a 3.5 or a 4. I'll do a little swatch and we'll see which one looks better. I also need, this says 8 millimeter safety eyes, so I have those. And tapestry needle, stuffing, scissors, straight pins, stitch markers, and red tulle is optional. I don't have red tulle, so we will skip that step. It's okay, it's just an extra layer of her cape. It's fine. So first you start with her head and body, and then you move on to her hair, and then you make the bangs in the front of her hair, the locks going down the side like I have here. Yes, I am sporting my nod, small nod to Miss Argentina. I wish I had a mint headband. I do have red. We'll stick with orange because it looks better with the lettering, so yeah. Okay, and then you make her bun, ears, face, arms, legs, dress, sash, cape. There's a lot of steps, but the magician's assistant was more steps, so this is what we're doing. Wish me luck. Pro tip, if you're starting a pattern or reviewing a pattern, go through the whole pattern, read it, analyze it before you ever start, so that you know what you're up against. There still may be parts that stump you, but you'll be a little more prepared if you're reading it first and making little notes to the side and stuff of things that confuse you or might confuse your audience. Things you want to take notes on. Just a tip. Here's something I noticed. As I'm reading this, I read down to the bottom that says rounds 11 and 12 is where I'm going to place the eyes. I now know when I get to that, I should mark it. So it's a whole lot easier to find later on than counting. But because I read ahead, now I know I should mark row 11 or 12. Okay, so I finished row 14, round 14. It says I need to insert the safety eyes, which I already knew about. That's why I marked round 11 back here, because I read ahead and knew that the eyes went between 11 and 12. However, insert the safety eyes between rounds 11 and 12, approximately 7 stitches apart on the front of the head. Okay, that's obviously on this side, but I guess I decide where that is because it doesn't tell me how many stitches or where in the front, or to like flatten this and figure out where the middle is. So I guess I just figure that out on my own. And then secure with washers and stuff head. Alrighty. This took me 2 episodes of Murder, She Wrote. So basically 2 hours. I'm a slow crocheter, y'all. Sorry. But isn't it cute? So I really like this. There was an instruction to do a slip stitch row and then create the neck. And I'm loving that shape. I'm gonna have to remember that. That's a great trick. Now the next thing I'm supposed to make is the hair. However, I was reading ahead, and because I read ahead, I know I can do this. You can't always do this. Sometimes you need to go exactly in order of the pattern. However, remember, my first tip is that I read the whole pattern and I realized I can do this. So, I made her arms, which were very unusual because they slope. Look. Isn't that interesting? They slope, yeah. And I made her little ears. Where are they? Here they are. She makes ears exactly the same way I do, so that was nice. Super easy. I'm very familiar with that technique. And the next thing I'm going to make is the legs. However, there's something unusual about the legs I would like to show you. Okay, here we have a bunch of instructions on changing red and green and changing red and green in the legs, and that may seem Like, it makes no sense. Why wouldn't it just be all the way around, and why do you have to change to green and red in the middle? I think this is the reason, but I'm not quite sure yet. Okay, here is the doll when she's finished. If you see her feet, there's green in the front, and then it slopes back in red. And then over here, we can see that the red is higher. I think, and I'm not 100% sure, but to me, this seems like they're trying to create the illusion of high heels, where your toe dips down into the toe box, goes up so it would cover the back, and then there's just no little heel. But I think it's the illusion of high heels, and since she is a beauty contestant, of course she would have fancier shoes. That makes sense to me. If that's what they're going for, then I think that's super clever. So we have head, body, ears, arms, and legs. So I think they go like this. Because here's the toe going into the shoe, and then if you turn it sideways, this part is higher because I think it's supposed to be like a high heel. I think that's what they're going for. So far, I'm not having any issues with this pattern. The arms were a little funny, but they're not hard. They're just, the directions were kind of strange. That is, we went from 6 for a little bit, then to 7, then to 8, so that it would kind of go like a triangle, as you can see. But somehow, by some magic, it curves inward. And considering the picture shows the arm like this, I guess I did it right. Although I think I'd rather sew her arms on like this so they go in. But I don't know. Okay. Now have her ears. She does her ears the same way I do, so that was nice. So far, y'all, I think this is a good pattern. But let's keep going. I think next I'm going to tackle the dress. My stitches are so even and so pretty, and I massively messed up. I read the directions wrong. I'm only supposed to do 2 rounds of 28 stitches, and then I'm supposed to change it to 26. A frogging we will go. Now, it doesn't show up here, but as you can see, there's a hole there. So I've been stitching them closed because that's a terrible place for a hole to be in a dress. Okay, I got the dress on her. However, it was a bit of a struggle because I didn't even think about the fact that this yarn and this yarn are 2 different brands, and they're also 2 different thicknesses of worsted weight yarn. Big Twist is just thinner than a lot of the other worsted weight yarns. I don't know why, it just is. And Red Heart with Love is actually more of a true 4-weight. So that means that this yarn is thicker than this yarn, and that made it a little bit harder to get the dress on because the stitches were a little bit smaller. But I did it, and thankfully I hadn't sewn on any pieces yet. There's a reason that they tell you not to make the legs yet. And that's so you don't sew them to the body. Because if I had put the legs on, no way was that dress getting on this body. Because I had to morph her body, like squeeze it in tight just to get the dress on. So, make sure you do the steps in order. Although you can make pieces ahead, just make sure you sew them in the order they're saying. Okay, on to the cape. Okay, so I'm about to do Miss Argentina's hair. In fact, I'm gonna do it live. But I am going to use a 3.75 millimeter hook because once again, I am working with the big twist yarn and I need it to be just a little bit bigger so it actually fits over her head. Because remember, her head is made out of that Red Heart with Love, which is a thicker 4-weight than the big twist. Well, this is big twist. So before I even start, I'm gonna use a 3.75 and that should help. If it doesn't work, I'll go up to a 4. I'll let you know. Okay, I just finished the sash and can you see it? It's under my computer. I'm trying to flatten it before I mark the sides because it kept curling on me and I was tired of it. So what it wants me to do is I did the correct number of stitches and the sash is all done, and now I just need to mark 6 stitches on each end and then embroider the words Miss Argentina following the chart as a guide in the middle of the sash. Ugh. Why couldn't she be Miss Guam? So here's the chart. Here's the straight stitch and the fly stitch, and it shows you where to use each of them. And then I believe in the beginning of the book, she has, here's how to do the straight stitch and here's how to do the fly stitch. Hopefully that helps me. I'm back. Okay, I have done the kit. I am all done. Yes, even the embroidery. And I am ready to talk about my experience and then I will talk about the kit as a whole. How's that? Okay, so first is my experience making Miss Argentina. Okay, are you ready to see Miss Argentina? Here she is. She's so cute. I'll show you all the sides. So here's her cape, back of her hair, side, front. Yes, that really says Miss Argentina, the whole thing. And her arms. And then little curls. I like when they look like that. Yeah. So, my experience as a whole with this is very positive. I did not have a whole lot of issues. I had some. But I did not have a whole lot of issues with this pattern. Some of the issues I had were my own fault. You already saw that. That was, Shannon, remember, 2 different yarn weights. I mean, they weren't 2 different yarn weights, but they're 2 different types of the same yarn weight. And that can get messy, and it did. But we got the dress on her. We got the hair on her. However, you may notice she doesn't have any ears. Now, you saw me make them. They exist. They're still in this bag, actually. But they don't fit on her head because of the yarn issue. I changed this to a 3.75 and it fit on her head, but then it covered up where her ears were supposed to be. So, it's fine. Her ears were not that big a deal, right? I made them, you saw. Okay? So, I still say she's complete, even though she doesn't have the ears. But you saw me make them, so I still did that part. I just didn't put them on her. Because there's no room. Do you see a spot where her ears could go? Yeah, no. So, I still think it looks really good though. And honestly, I think it might look better without the ears. I don't know. Let's see. Challenging parts of this. Well, I wrote down some notes. Some of the problems I faced when making this kit. Okay. Where to sew things was not consistent. Now, a lot of the times it would say, sew between rows, this and this. Great, I love that. And other times it would say, sew to the bottom of the body. Okay, I mean, not great, but here's the thing, it had really great photos. So I could still see what I was supposed to do, it just didn't have written instructions that were all that clear. Honestly, the fact that it had good pictures, but not the greatest written instructions, I don't count too much against that, because I could still clearly see where I was supposed to sew things, for the most part. So I'm gonna say that was okay. It was a problem I faced, but it was easily fixable. Now, the embroidery had really great instructions. I loved the chart. The chart was super helpful. And then in the beginning of the book, they told you how to do the certain stitches. They didn't leave you hanging. My only problem with it was just not enjoyable for me. This isn't my favorite. Okay, I did my best. I know that M and the I are way too close together. I had to space out Argentina. It was, and I still did it wrong because technically it's supposed to be like that. I made it way too big, I guess. I don't know. But I did my best. You can read it and it's done. And it does look cool. But if I'd had my way, I would have used a fabric marker or puffy paint. However, the embroidery looks good. Well, not mine, but I mean, I love that that's part of the pattern. Just if you're like me, it may not be the most enjoyable part of the pattern, because it wasn't for me. If you'll notice, her eye details and her little mouth are missing as well because I was done with embroidery at this point. I went, nope, I'm done. I don't want to add the little highlights on her eyes. I don't want to add the little lips. I'm just done. So, also I was worried if I added the lips, I'd ruin everything. So, I like her like this without too many details. I might go back with my fabric marker and add eyelashes because she is a beauty contestant. And maybe the eyeshadow because she is a beauty contestant. But yeah, no lips. No. And if you see a lot of my own creations, they don't have mouths. So one thing I want to say that's super positive about this kit is what to sew on the body when. Ooh. Follow that to a T. You can make all the pieces ahead of time. You can. You can't always do that, like I said, but because remember, I read the whole pattern, I could figure out, yes, I can make these pieces ahead of time with no issues. But putting them on the body, do it exactly like they say. Do it exactly like they say. Because if you put the legs on before you put the dress on, you're not getting that dress on. Even if I hadn't had the yarn issue, you're not getting the dress on. Because the dress is tight down here and wide up here. On purpose. And it's supposed to have that kind of little like hourglassy shape. And it doesn't fan out much except for this. And you might be able to see it would be a struggle to get it on over the legs. Yeah, so what I did was I put the dress on her. And then I just rolled up the skirt and moved it out of the way to sew on the legs. Do not put the arms on before you put the hair on, because they'll be in your way. They'll just be in your way. So make sure you put the hair on first. I didn't do that. That was all me. I didn't do that, but do that. You can attach the cape before the sash. It's up to you, because you only attach it to her neck. You only attach the cape to her neck. That is super important. Do not attach it to her shoulders. Do not attach it to anything else. Otherwise, you will not be able to get the sash on, or you will have sewn the sash to her arm. Don't do that. So mine is still removable. And then you saw I covered up the holes where her dress is. Yeah, that was an interesting part of the pattern. I don't know why they just left it like that, because of all places to have holes in a dress, that's not a good place for it. So I like that I changed the colors too. I like that her cape is a different color from her dress. It doesn't say you have to do that, but when you put the tulle over it, it looked darker anyway. So I thought I'd just use a darker color, and I like it. Placing the hair was not fun, but again, that's because the wig cap was too big and so things didn't align and I had to make it work. The Tim Gunn method has served me well in life. At the beginning of this video, I told you every single color I used and the brand and everything, except for this. This is just Yarn Dollar Tree stuff in the color cream, and yeah. I would give this pattern solid 4 out of 5. Solid 4 out of 5 zebras for this pattern specifically. I had fun. I had fun doing it. Okay, the embroidery was not fun. Okay, now, is the whole kit worth your money? Haha, let's find out. This is $24.99, and that's what I paid for it. Fun side story, Amazon listed it as written by one of my favorite who am I kidding? She is my favorite amigurumi designer, Megan Kreiner. And another girl, Jana something. Yeah, it said that those two were the authors. It might still say that. The designer is Illaria Calari, whom I'm very familiar with. I do her amigurumi adventures, well, I buy the patterns anyway, every year. And I have her dog kit, I have her Nightmare Before Christmas kit. So I'm very familiar with her work, and of course her collaborations with Irene Strange for the advent calendars and, what's it called? School of Magic. Very familiar with how her things look, and it does look like her art. However, Amazon was saying that it was Megan Kreiner, and I was like, I'm interviewing Megan Kreiner. I want to make sure I have this in my hands as soon as possible. So I ordered it in May. And then I got it and found out it was Illaria Calari, and I was super confused. But it made a lot of sense because, yeah, this definitely looks like Illaria's work. Yep, that is her style. If you know, you know. So, that was confusing, but it has nothing to do with the price. But I did pay full price. Normally I don't, but I did pay full price because I wanted it as fast as possible because I wanted to talk about it with Megan Kreiner. Come to find out, she didn't actually write it. Anyway, if you want to see my interview with Megan Kreiner, it's under the Lives tab under Stitch Talk. So in this kit, you get 13 patterns. Normally you get 12. You get 13 patterns. You get a crochet hook, metal. It's a 3.25 millimeter. You get a metal darning needle. Well, actually it's a sewing needle. Yeah, it's a sewing needle because it comes with the embroidery thread you also get. Also good. 2 sets of 8mm safety eyes and a bunch of yarn to make Beetlejuice, the original, and Lydia. Though I didn't make either of them, looking at all the yarn you got, you'd have enough yarn. Yep, you would. I don't think you'd run out of yarn at all, especially not black yarn. Also inside the book, you get basics to crochet, you get how to embroider, you get instructions on how to attach pieces, and you get a little bit of yarn recommendations if you don't like the yarn that came with your kit. You can use the yarn that Illaria used, which I love that. Why can't we always do that? Please tell us exactly what the designer used because we want it to look like the designers. Right? Thank you! Please, Thunder Bay Press, from now on, can we always include what the designer used? Please, please, please. Now, the kit is currently on sale for $19.98. Yes, I linked it down below for you. You're welcome. But, honestly, the $24.99 price, with everything I just told you, is it worth the money? Is it a good value? Yeah. I didn't have any issues with the patterns, except the things I told you, but those are very fixable. And we'll get to criteria number 2 in a minute, and that also comes into play. But I would say criteria number 1, well priced, good value? Yes. Nowhere does it say on the box, on Amazon's listing, in the book, nowhere does it say beginner. Nope. Even in the beginning, you can tell that this little basics part in the beginning is just a refresher course. Normally, they get a lot more detailed in the front about your basic stitches. It's only about a couple pages in here because they are assuming you know stuff. This is for people who know how to crochet already and maybe want to try amigurumi, or they do amigurumi all the time. This would be about teens and adults. A middle schooler might be able to handle it, especially if they've been crocheting a long time. But a young child, I think some of the techniques are far too technical. So I would say that it's geared towards teens and up. Maybe middle school if your child is good at crochet already. But definitely not anything younger than 10. So though it doesn't give an audience anywhere, it doesn't say, I would say that's the audience. And I would also say that's the audience it's geared for. It's geared for people who've seen Beetlejuice. I think appropriate audience is a yes. And that goes back with, do I think it's a good value? Because do I think people of that age could handle this kit? Yes. So see, they all kind of go together. Okay, usable items. Technically, the crochet hook that comes in the kit, super usable. It's metal, not plastic. Big points. It's a 3.25. That goes perfect with a worsted weight yarn. But we were given DK yarn. And yes, you can use a D or a 3.25 hook with DK yarn. That's a 3-weight, by the way. Easily. But in the book, it says we're supposed to use a 2.75. So why didn't they give us a 2.75? I have questions. So, technically, is the item usable? And could you use it together? Could you use the yarn they gave you with the hook they gave you? Yes. Would it be the same size? No. Now, everything else that came in the kit, safety eyes, needle, and thread, can you use those? Sure. No problem with any of those. I think I even used the eyes for her, because these are 8mm eyes. Which I'm kind of surprised it worked, because this is a 4-weight yarn. And so I made the yarn thicker. You know, the yarn is now thicker. I thought the eyes would look too small, but I think they look good. So the 8mm work on the DK yarn or the worsted weight yarn. Now you know. Okay, speaking of yarn, we got to talk about the yarn. You have enough, so that's great. You definitely have enough. In fact, I would say that several colors you have more than enough. You could, if you don't plan carefully, run out of the glow-in-the-dark Beetlejuice yarn. I could see that happening, so just be careful. But you got plenty of black yarn, that's for sure. You have plenty of skin tone for Lydia. That little bit of purple, you only use it to just highlight their eyes, so yeah, you'd have enough. So I would say, if you use the hook and the yarn that came in the kit, it would all work out. However, the yarn is not the greatest quality. It's still usable. There's a lot worse yarns out there. Trust me. Anybody see the Yarnspirations Advent Calendar I reviewed last year? That wasn't even yarn. I don't know what that was. This yarn is nothing like that. It's got a waxy texture, but it's still kind of soft. It feels like if Red Heart was a little bit softer and kind of sticky. You can use it for stuffing easily if you want to. Oh, that's the other thing. The stuffing is really soft. I don't know where they find the stuffing for these kits, but it's always some of the softest stuffing you will ever feel in your life. So always keep the stuffing. If you get one of these kits, always keep the stuffing, because you can use that for anything. You could even use that for a little Christmas village for snow. So though the hook is the wrong size, it's still usable. And you can use it with DK yarn, technically. Yarn isn't great quality, but still usable. It won't slice up your hands like some of those yarns. Safety eyes, very usable. They even have the strong backs. All right. They have a great needle and thread. Usable items. Gets a yes. With the materials in the kit and the instructions in the book, could a spoonie do this kit? If you are somebody who already knows crochet, yes. Yes, you could. This is totally spoonie approved. I had an enjoyable time with this. Even though I'm having elbow issues, wrist issues right now, I've been doing a lot of crochet. You'll see. It's the holidays. So yeah, I'm really sore, but still enjoyable and still very doable. Could I have used the stuff in the kit? Yeah. But I can't use it if I want to make Miss Argentina, because wrong colors. If I wanted to make Beetlejuice or Lydia, sure. But again, I told you at the beginning why I didn't make Beetlejuice or Lydia. Do I still plan to make them in the future? Actually, yes. There's a possibility I would make this whole book except for Adam and Barbara and the snake. Okay, there's a chance I'll make most of these in this book in the coming years, because I actually had an enjoyable time. And I think she looks a lot like the picture. There's a picture. So I think I did it right. Now obviously she's bigger because I used a 3.5mm hook for most of her, 3.75 for the hair, but a 3.5mm hook, which is an E, and I used worsted weight yarn, which is a 4, so I knew she was going to be bigger, but I think she looks great. I'm happy with her. So I'm a spoonie with nerve issues who did this and enjoyed myself. So yes, I'm going to say it's spoonie approved. Yeah. So, is this kit gift or garbage? It's a gift. Very giftable. I think it's a great kit. Of course, I only did one pattern. Does that mean every single pattern in the book works? I don't know. But I will say that my friend Heather at Heather's Creative Corner is working on another kit right now. She doesn't have a video or anything yet, but she is working on a kit by the same author that is another one of these Thunder Bay Press kits, and she's not having any issues either. So, either Thunder Bay Press is taking more of an interest in making sure that these kits are doable. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't think it's that one. Or, now if you watched my interview with Megan Kreiner, usually the designers don't have a lot to say about what pictures are in the book or how many instructions because they only get so many pages. But if Illaria already knew that because she's done kits for them before, then that makes perfect sense to me that she would be like, okay, these are the steps I absolutely have to list so that they make it in the book. I'm thinking that Miss Calari, she was super strategic about how she presented the patterns. But this is a gift. I hope you enjoyed Gift or Garbage. We are approaching the holiday season, so Gift or Garbage is about to turn into Advent calendars. Be ready for one practically weekly. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this A Gift or Garbage. If you did, leave a comment down below. Let me know which one would you have made from this kit. And did you like my little Miss Argentina? Remember, life happens, yarn helps, and spoonies can stitch it up too.